You're a senior who's out of shape, but you can't stay that way for your long-term health. You've had enough of your current situation and you're ready to dive in with both feet. What's the fastest way to go from fat to fit as a senior? That's exactly what we're going to cover in this video. But first, let me set two expectations. One, if you're going to go after it aggressively, it's going to take a lot of effort. Unlike if you're going after it as a lifestyle change, or if you're going after it with less effort, it's going to be hard work. Second of all, it's going to take time. Of course, it's going to take less time than if you were to do a more moderate approach, but it's still going to take time and more workout time. So those are the two expectations I want to set in this video. So if you're still here watching this video, let's start with what it's going to take. First of all, we need the exercise component. On the exercise side of things, when you're trying to lose body fat, the purpose of exercise isn't necessarily to burn fat. You can do that much easier with nutrition. The purpose of exercise is to preserve muscle, because the goal is not weight loss, the goal is fat loss. I'm sure you wouldn't be very happy if you lost muscle mass or bone mass or blood, and yet these are all methods of weight loss. So you don't want weight loss, you want fat loss. So exercise, its purpose in a fat loss phase is muscle preservation or possibly even growth. To that end, the only way to preserve or maintain your muscle is strength training. Cardio helps with other things. It's good for your cardiovascular health and so on, but strength training is what you absolutely need to do for the preservation of your muscle mass. But you can't just do any kind of strength training, you have to do it the right way. So what's the right way to strength train to maintain your muscle mass while you're trying to lose body fat? Well, there are certain parameters we need to know. And it's not just the exercises. We need to know parameters like the frequency, how many days per week, how many sets and repetitions, and should you be doing full body workouts or body part splits, and lastly, how much weight should you be using? Let's address all of those. In terms of workout frequency, it should be about 2 to 3 days per week. The number of sets and repetitions should be approximately 2 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions. As for how much weight you should lift, there's the tricky part, because there are a lot of people watching this video and each person has a lot of different muscles. So what may be right for one person may not be right for another person. What may be difficult for your biceps may be easy for your quads, for your thighs. And so the best guideline I can give you is this. Find a weight that when you've completed 10 to 15 repetitions and you were to ask yourself, how many more could I have done? The answer should be maybe 1 or 2 more. If you think you could have done 3 more, that weight is too easy. So the key is to find a weight that is not just challenging, but possibly even difficult on your last repetition. Finally, let's answer the question of should you do full body workouts or body part splits where one day you do one body part, the next day you do another body part, and so on. The best solution for seniors is full body workouts for a couple of reasons. One, if you just do body part splits, then any single muscle gets stimulated only once per week. But if you're doing full body workouts, every single muscle gets stimulated 2 to 4 times per week. Finally, what kind of setup do we want? Should it be straight sets or circuit sets? What's straight sets, you're wondering? Let's give some definitions. Straight sets are when you do one exercise, you do one set of the exercise, you rest. You do a second set of the same exercise, again, rest. A third set of the same exercise, rest. That is called straight sets. Circuit sets are when you move from one exercise to the next, to the next, to the next. Then you rest at the end of the circuit and repeat it back to the first exercise. Circuit sets are preferred over straight sets for 2 reasons. One, it saves you a lot of time. There is way less rest in between exercises. And 2, it gives you both strength benefits and cardiovascular benefits. To contrast that to straight sets only give you strength benefits and no cardiovascular benefits, and they take up a lot more time. Now that we've covered strength training, let's talk about cardio. Cardio is important for long-term health, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't build muscle. Yes, it does burn calories, but if you're out of shape, you just can't do cardio hard enough to burn a substantial number of calories. But it does help you with a few calories here and there. And so if you choose to do cardio, you should be doing it on all of your non-strength training days except for one day. And so if you are doing strength training 3 times per week, then you should be doing cardio also 3 times per week. But even if you can't do 6 days per week of exercise, just do the 2 or 3 of strength training, and whatever you're not strength training, add in cardio. Because again, the vast majority of your calorie burning will come from nutrition, not even exercise. The last component we'll talk about is something called NEAT, N-E-A-T. And when we're talking about how many calories you burn throughout the day, that term is called total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE for short. Now, there are 4 components to that, and people only know of one component, and that is metabolism. Metabolism is only one component of TDEE. There are 3 others. One of them, obviously, is exercise. Another one is something called the thermic effect of food, which I've talked about in other videos. And the 4th component is something called NEAT, N-E-A-T. Again, that stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. What that means is this is all movement that is not purposeful exercise. For example, walking around the mall and shopping, it's not a deliberate attempt to improve your endurance, and yet it burns calories. Gardening is not a purposeful attempt to improve your strength or your endurance, but it does burn calories. These are all examples of NEAT. And so you can actually improve your NEAT and therefore increase your caloric burn substantially. Some ways of doing it are, for example, park further away from the entry. Another one is take the stairs instead of the escalator or the elevator. Another way to improve your NEAT is when you're watching TV, watch it while standing, watch it while cycling gently. Watch it while walking on the treadmill or walking in place. These are all examples of NEAT, and all these little things, very low intensity, not very strenuous at all, can add up to hundreds of calories throughout the day. If you need help putting together an exercise program that's right for you, based on your goals, your injuries, medical conditions, and so on, we have a special program just like that. If you click on the link in the description below, that'll take you to our homepage where we can schedule a quick 10 to 15 minute Zoom chat to see whether or not our services are right for you. This is no sales pitch, no obligation, no pressure, just to see what's your situation and can we help you get to where you want to go. The other component of losing body fat quickly is nutrition, and that's arguably the larger component. There are 2 and only 2 factors that matter when it comes to nutrition for fat loss. Factor number 1, and that's the king, calories. Factor number 2, protein. As long as you meet those 2 criteria, everything else is up to you. In other words, let's say you're entitled to 2,000 calories per day. Your protein is maybe 600 calories per day. The remaining 1,400 calories could be whatever you want. It could be pizza, it could be chocolate cake, etc., as long as you've met your minimum quota for protein and you're still within your caloric budget. And so how many calories should you be having? Multiply your current body weight by 11 and add an exercise. That is approximately how much you are eating right now. So if you're maintaining your weight, that's what you're currently eating. Now, if you want to reduce your weight, subtract about 20% from whatever that is. So if you're currently eating about 2,500 calories per day, subtract about 500 and you end up at 2,000. So that's just an example. What about protein? How much protein should you be having? Protein requirements depend on 3 factors, in no particular order. 1 is your body weight. Bigger people need more food to sustain them, obviously. The second factor is activity levels. Are you sedentary? Are you doing cardio only? Or are you doing strength training only or cardio plus strength training? And third is your age. Are you under 60 or over 60? Let's assume for the sake of this video that you're over 60 and you are strength training. For somebody like you need between 2.0 and 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram per day. And that can come from wherever you want. But there are what I call grade A protein, grade B protein, and grade C protein sources. My definition of a grade A protein source is anything with more than 30 grams of protein per serving. Grade B protein sources are between 10 and 29 grams, and grade C is below 10 grams. So what are some examples of grade A protein? The best sources, bar none, are meat, fish, and seafood. There are a couple of others that kind of meet that category, like egg whites, whey protein, etc., but that's about it. In grade B is things like beans, lentils, Greek yogurt, Icelandic yogurt, and so on. And grade C protein is everything else, including things that, well, vegans often tell you are high in protein, or vegetarians will tell you are high in protein, but are not. Nuts, almonds, cashews, hazelnuts, pistachios, etc. are all low in protein. One serving is only about 5 grams. Vegetables, there's not a single vegetable that's high in protein, they're all below 5 grams. A glass of milk is 9 grams. One medium egg is 6 grams. One large egg is 9 grams. One slice of cheese or 1 cube of cheese is about 5 grams. So these are all examples of grade C protein. So combine the right nutrition with the right exercise plus NEAT for your body type, and you'll be able to lose fat faster than if you take a more gentle approach. If you like this information in this video, I have a newsletter for seniors. If you click on the other link in the description below, that'll give you the opportunity to subscribe to our newsletter, and you always have the option of unsubscribing. Also, there are a bunch of different ways to implement the advice in this video. You could see a dietitian, there is an app, you can do group fitness classes. There are many different solutions. What's the best solution? I talk about that in this video.